What's up, everybody? This is Mr. Howard, and welcome back to this week's Raw Talk. We are going to be covering Raw from August 1st, and then we're going to jump on to SmackDown Live, NXT, and the Cruiserweight Classic to finish us off. So, starting off on Monday Night Raw, we got to see Sasha Banks come out and cut a promo talking about how she's going to be a worthy women's champion, she's going to prove herself, etc., etc. Charlotte, of course, came out, objected, saying she shouldn't be champion, she doesn't deserve it, etc., etc. Then, surprisingly, Chris Jericho comes out, kind of putting himself into this promo battle of sorts, and just kind of tells them to stop bickering about petty things, and all that matters is how great Jericho is. And after that, we see Enzo Amore come out, which was even more surprising. And the four of them kind of start doing almost like a promo battle in the ring, which was really cool. We got to see Sasha and Enzo kind of form an alliance, and Jericho and Charlotte do the same. Mick Foley then came out and announced a mixed tag match, which would take place immediately. And that was a pretty decent match, to say the least. I'd say the biggest spot from the match was when Enzo and Sasha hit two suicide dives to the outside at about the same time on Charlotte and Chris Jericho. And the match looked like it was going in their favor until Dana Brooke came out attacking Sasha Banks, and basically led to a natural selection finisher from Charlotte to give her and Jericho the win. After the match, we saw Big Cass come out and kind of get rid of Jericho and just kind of watch over Enzo and Sasha. So that was pretty cool. We get to see them in the ring together, but not too much came from it. So it'll be interesting to see if they move any of those feuds forward. I mean, obviously they'll move Sasha versus Charlotte forward, but we'll have to wait and see what's in store for the others. Next up, we saw kind of a quick tag match between the new Shining Stars taking on Golden Truth. And basically, R-Truth was on the apron. Instead of paying attention to the match, he had his phone out and he was apparently playing Pokemon Go. When Goldust went for the tag, R-Truth wasn't there, and Goldust got rolled up for the pin and lost the match. So a little bit of, tension, I guess you could say, in between them. But it didn't seem like tag team splitting tension, so that we'll have to find out in the future as well. We also saw Finn Balor and Seth Rollins face off for the first time, and basically just kind of talk about why they deserve to be the Universal Champion. Basically, Rollins went for, I believe he went for a cheap shot. Finn Balor blocked him, hit the, whatever you want to call it, the upside down kick out of nowhere on Rollins, and kind of kicked him out of the ring, and Rollins retreated. So that kind of shows that Finn Balor has the upper hand, for the time being, I guess. But that is definitely going to be an interesting feud. I cannot wait to see that match at SummerSlam. Although it's not the number one match I'm looking forward to, it's definitely, one of the top. Especially because I want to see what the new belt looks like. After that, we saw Mark Henry challenge Rusev for the United States Championship. And, of course, Rusev wins with the accolade, not surprisingly. We also saw Roman Reigns come out after that match and just kind of beat the crap out of Rusev with a bunch of Superman punches. And it looks like they're going to be pushing Reigns into the U.S. title picture now that he is not in the world title picture. And I think the general consensus is that this is a good idea. This is probably what's best for business. It's probably what's best for Reigns' career. And if he ever wants to be, world champion and have people view it as deserving, or deserved, he's probably going to have to earn his way by other means than he previously had. So I think this is good. We also saw Nia Jax pretty much squash a local competitor in 5 seconds. Braun Strowman came out, squashed a local competitor in 5 seconds. Nothing new there. The club faced off against 2 members of the New Day and pretty much ended up laying them all out outside the ring. So they're definitely looking strong. We got to see Cesaro versus Sheamus, with the winner being promised a future title shot from Stephanie McMahon. And that was definitely interesting. I was hoping to see more, but I think overall it was a pretty good match. Cesaro, deadlifted. It was like a deadlift suplex. Okay, so without any help, deadlift suplexed Sheamus, and then later countered, I believe, maybe a pile driver or something that Sheamus was going for into the neutralizer to give Cesaro the win, which is good because he definitely deserves a title shot. I don't know how long it's been since he's had a championship, but I mean he's overdue. He's way overdue. He should have been world champion a long time ago, and he definitely should at least be Intercontinental or U.S. champ. I think he definitely would have flourished more on SmackDown, but that was their mistake. Nothing we can do about it now. We also saw Heath Slater come out with the returning Jinder Mahal. Basically, Mick Foley said, we only have 1 spot left on the roster, so the 2 of you will have a match, and the winner will get the contract to be a part of the Raw brand. Heath Slater basically said, that's ridiculous, you can't break up the band, and we would never fight each other. And he turns around to take a big super kick from Jinder Mahal, and Jinder Mahal pins him to get the contract. So Heath Slater's definitely not having a great time. What else we got? Moving on, we saw Seth Rollins face Sami Zayn, as you've been watching here. Definitely the match of the night. We saw Sami Zayn hit a picture perfect DDT, ridiculously perfect actually. And he also had hit a moonsault off of the barricade around the ring, which was really cool. Sami Zayn went for a haluva kick. Rollins dodged. He went for the pedigree. Sami Zayn countered. Went for the haluva kick again. Rollins dodged, hit the pedigree, and then won the match fair and square. Which I guess is I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to see Rollins as a main event guy, but I still would much prefer guys like Zayn and Balor and Cesaro to be put into that top spot. So we'll have to wait and see where it goes from there. And then at the end of the night, we saw Brock Lesnar return with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman cut a tremendous promo talking about how Randy Orton is afraid of Brock Lesnar, how he will never, ever be able to hit an RKO, and the RKO is the only sliver of a chance that he has against Brock Lesnar, so therefore he has no chance. If he can't RKO Brock Lesnar, he has no chance of beating him, right? And as Paul Heyman is going on and on about saying how Orton will never, ever hit an RKO, Randy Orton comes in and hits an RKO out of nowhere, pointing at the back of his shirt that literally says "out of nowhere," which I thought was pretty cool. But so yeah, this feud is heating up, and there really isn't a lot more to say about that on Raw. So with that being said, we're going to move over to SmackDown, and we will be right back. Alright, so we are back. To start off the night on SmackDown, we saw Dean Ambrose, the WWE World Champion, come out and cut a promo asking for Ziggler to come down to the ring so they could chat. Ziggler comes out, and Ambrose basically says that Ziggler is all talk and he's not really as great as he thinks he is. Ziggler kind of gets angry, but Ambrose leaves the ring and kind of leaves him to kind of think about what Ambrose said. As Ziggler is standing there, we see Bray Wyatt come into the ring and kind of attack him, hitting Sister Abigail and laying Ziggler out, challenging Ziggler to a match later on tonight, with the winner actually becoming the number one contender. Ziggler then goes backstage, very angry, and gets Shane McMahon to approve the match between him and Wyatt, and puts his number one contendership on the line. We will jump into what happens there a little bit later on. But the next matchup we saw was a triple threat match, with the winner becoming the number one contender to the Intercontinental Championship, which is currently held by The Miz. The match featured Baron Corbin, Apollo Crews, and Kalisto, which I thought was a great match. It was probably the best triple threat match we've seen in a while. Basically, we saw Kalisto and Apollo Crews teaming up on Baron Corbin kind of throughout the match, and then whenever he got laid out, they would turn on each other and hit a bunch of really cool, DDTs, Hurricanranas, that kind of stuff. In the end, however, we did end up seeing Apollo Crews get Kalisto with a roll-up pin to become the number one contender. But after that, The Miz came in, hit the skull-crushing finale on Apollo Crews, only to get hit by Baron Corbin, get laid out by Baron Corbin immediately after that, which kind of leads me to think they're setting up a fatal four-way between The Miz and the three guys in this match. So if that is the case, we will see a fatal four-way at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental Championship, and personally, I think that would be the best route to go. The other route is to keep Apollo Crews as the number one contender, have him face off against The Miz, and then of course have Baron Corbin continue feuding with Kalisto, although that's getting a little tiresome as well. So we'll have to wait and see. After that, we saw Becky Lynch versus Eva Marie, but of course, as the bell rang for the match to start, Eva Marie apparently injured her leg somehow. She's not only a terrible wrestler, she's also a terrible actor, and a lot of people will say, well, that's the point, she's supposed to be bad at it, and I'm like, but that's not a good point, because if you're in the WWE, you should be able to be good. You can pretend to suck, that's fine, but there's no reason to believe that she has any talent within her at all. I'm very disappointed that she's on the main roster. I was hoping she, if anything, that she would have gone to NXT and been down there for a few months, but I was honestly expecting her to just drop out and be released. That was kind of my hope and kind of my assumption, but unfortunately she's on the main roster now and we have to deal with her every week. She's easily the most hated wrestler in the WWE right now. More so than Reigns, more so than Del Rio, more so than just about everyone, honestly. I mean, people hate her for a legitimate reason. They don't hate her like you hate a guy like Seth Rollins. They hate her because she's not talented. After that, we saw American Alpha debut. They put on a great show against the Vaudevillains. We saw AJ Styles and John Cena cut a promo confirming a SummerSlam match between the two of them. We saw Carmella come out to the ring to get ready for a match with Natalya, only to be attacked before the match even started. So we didn't actually get a Divas match on the show, which kind of sucked. Randy Orton had a match against Fandango. Of course, as he hit the RKO on Fandango, got up, turned around. Brock Lesnar was in the ring and hit an F5 to kind of return the favor from the night before. So that feud is definitely heating up. And to finish off the night, we saw Ziggler versus Bray Wyatt. Ziggler ended up hitting he basically turnbuckle got taken off the, I guess the turnbuckle pad got taken off the top of the turnbuckle during the match, and Wyatt got his face hit right in the corner, and then followed up by a super kick as well. Ziggler would go on to win the match, only to be attacked by Eric Rowan. Ambrose came in to try and help him out. Wyatt, of course, attacked him, and the night ended with just about the exact image you are seeing here, with Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan behind him, kind of looking dominant and looking like one of the top heels, if not the top heel on the show. So with that being said, we are going to switch over to the NXT and Cruiserweight Classic recap. We will be right back. Alright, let's get back into this. So basically, NXT was, even though it was a short show, it was definitely an eventful show. So we got to see right off the bat the return of Hideo Itami, who has been out for over a year, I believe. I think the last time we saw him wrestle was somewhere around WrestleMania 30, I think it was. He was in one of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royals, and got eliminated by the Big Show, but he has been out for a long time. He had shoulder surgery, pectoral surgery, I believe, something in there, and it was definitely noticeable. The scar was noticeable. So it's good to see him back, though, after being out for so long. We got to see him in a match against Sean Maluda, the Samoan from the Cruiserweight Classic that we got to see, and they put on a pretty good match. It was definitely Itami's return, so he went over, hitting a running drop kick, pretty hard one at that, for the win. We also saw Asuka in a match against Aliyah, I believe her name is. So I'm really not a fan of Aliyah. She seems very fake to me, at least when it comes to how serious she is about wrestling. Asuka, on the other hand, is arguably the greatest female wrestler we've ever had in the WWE. So the comparison was quite, there was a big difference between the two. Bayley was out ringside watching the match, and when Asuka got the Asuka lock on and refused to let it go, Bayley definitely seemed a little bit upset. But nonetheless, Asuka destroyed Aliyah, won the match pretty easily, and kind of furthered the feud between her and Bayley that will kind of come to an end at the next NXT TakeOver, which I believe is the night before SummerSlam, maybe the 20th or so. So that'll be interesting. We also saw the long-awaited debut, or at least not in a match, but we got to see the debut of Bobby Roode. Now, for those of you who don't know who Bobby Roode is, pause this video, Google him. He was a big star in TNA, arguably one of the biggest stars, and it's been a long awaited. I mean, we got Samoa Joe, we got Austin Aries, we got Eric Young, we got Bobby Roode, and there are very few NXT. There are very few TNA stars that we haven't seen in the WWE now. Honestly, the only guys TNA has anymore that are notable are the Hardys and like Bobby Lashley, I would say. Some would say EC3. I'm not a fan of him though. So I mean that's about it. Also, in case you guys missed one of my other recaps, if you guys have ever seen the wrestler Suicide from TNA, not the character Suicide, but that wrestler, TJ Perkins, is actually in the Cruiserweight Classic, so he is also in the WWE technically. And it's kind of just showing you TNA is pretty much dead. And their stars are getting smart and coming over to the WWE because that is where the money is, that is where the success is, and that is where the opportunity is. Basically, we got to see the main event match was the Revival, the tag team champs, taking on TM61 in a non-tag title match. The Revival ended up winning the match, but after we got to see Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa come out, who are a tremendous tag team, and they're tremendous singles competitors, as we'll talk about it in a few minutes. But they basically came out and wiped the floor with the Revival, kind of doing like a fake pin 1-2-3 count, showing that they can beat the champs. And that kind of set up their tag match coming up at the next TakeOver as well. So I'm excited to see that and pretty much everything NXT TakeOver. To finish off the first round of the Cruiserweight Classic, we got 4 more matchups. The first one being Rich Swann versus Jason Lee. Rich Swann has fought in NXT before, and some of you may have recognized him if you watched the match. He hit a tremendous standing Hurricanrana when Jason Lee was sitting on the top rope. So he got major air on that one. And then to finish off the match, Swann hit a standing, mind you, a standing 450 splash. I don't know how he did it, but he did it, and you guys got to watch it, so go look it up. The next matchup was Noam Dar, who was the first wrestler in the WWE from Israel, I believe. He took on the Indian Gurv Sira. Not much action in this match. They were obviously both young. Neither of them really had major characters developed for them or by them. So there wasn't a ton to really talk about. It was a mediocre match at best, unfortunately. And I wouldn't expect to see either of them go much farther in the tournament. But Noam Dar from Israel did pick up the win with a knee bar submission in the end, effectively eliminating both of the Sira brothers from the tournament. Third up, we had Jack Gallagher versus Fabian Eichner, and this was a tremendous match. Eichner hit a springboard moonsault off the top rope, and this guy looks like a shorter Ryback. So it was pretty cool to watch. And then he also countered a chokehold into like a midair power bomb. I don't really know how to explain it, but that was tremendous as well. Gallagher ended up winning with a ridiculously hard running drop kick to the face in the corner. If you've ever questioned a drop kick not being legitimate before, you definitely didn't have to do that with this. And then to finish off the night, we got to see the tag team, the number one contenders to the tag titles on NXT, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, fight each other to finish off the first round of the tournament. This was easily the match of the night. They definitely put on the show that was expected of them. Right off the bat, we saw Ciampa hit probably the hardest elbow I have ever seen in my life, right to Gargano's face. Looked like he knocked out a tooth. It was definitely what JR would call a slobber knocker, as spit went everywhere in the ring. We were definitely looking to see if any teeth were in the ring when we were watching it. Tremendous match. Gargano put on a good show throughout. Ciampa hit, I believe it's called White Noise. I think Sheamus does it on the really hard part of the apron, which definitely looked like it could have knocked Gargano out if he hit him wrong. Ciampa pretty much dominated the match, but in the end, Gargano, just after looking completely depleted and done, got a nice roll-up crucifix pin on Ciampa to win the match, very surprisingly, but also not surprisingly, since the fans are so behind him. And he moved on. So we are going to see a tremendous, tournament here. The first round was really good, but I have to say the second round and on is only going to get progressively better as we narrow down the competitors in the tournament itself. So in round 2, the first matchup we have is Akira Tozawa versus Jack Gallagher. That'll be the Japanese versus British style of wrestling. Then we have Tajiri, you guys all know him, taking on Gran Metalik in a Japanese versus Luchador style match. That should be tremendous. We have Drew Gulak versus Zack Sabre Jr., American versus Brit, in a very, very technical match. That could be the match of the second round. Noam Dar takes on Ho Loon, the Israeli wrestler versus the Chinese wrestler. Brian Kendrick also advanced to the second round, who will be taking on Tony Nese, very much like a high-flying Chris Masters kind of wrestler. Kota Ibushi, one of the favorites to win the tournament, will be taking on Cedric Alexander, who is tremendously talented. TJ Perkins, a.k.a. Suicide, will be taking on Johnny Gargano in one of my most look-forward-to matches of the second round. And to finish it off, we will see Lindsay Dorado versus Rich Swann in what will easily be the most flashy match of the second round of the Cruiserweight Classic. So I am really looking forward to this. Unfortunately, we're only going to be getting, I think, 1 or 2 matches from now on, and that's kind of disappointing because you could finish this tournament in a month, maybe 2 months. But I really was hoping that they would, not make it go for 10 weeks. But that's exactly what they're doing. So unfortunately, we're going to have to wait to see some of these matches a little bit longer than we would like. But with that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching. Feel free to leave a like or comment down below. I will be posting many more updates over the weekend and over the course of the next week, including more Supercard content. And if there's any big news, I'll definitely get a quick video out there for you guys so you can learn about any of that. Again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all real soon.